Hey, Pastor Julian here. I just want to take a moment from Los Angeles. I happen to be at the Los Angeles International Airport, headed back to DC, but I'm in the mix at 6. How about you? I'm at the airport, so you might hear some background noise. Listen, what do you do when your plan is in conflict with something that God seems to have changed? What do you do when you're large and in charge and all of a sudden God has another idea about your destiny? What do you do when you suffer those types of disappointments? Well, such was the case of a king by the name of Saul in 1 Samuel chapter 24. Many of you may be familiar with this story that Saul was the seated king, but God anointed David to become the king because of the actions of Saul. And when we look at this chapter in this particular book, we find that the king Saul did something very unusual. So there's a story there that Saul went to kind of relieve himself, and he went to do so in a cave, but he didn't realize that David was deeper in the cave. And so David cut off a little bit of the fabric from his robe. He could have killed him, but he didn't do it. He wouldn't touch the anointed of God. And so when Saul got a good distance away from David David said to Saul, listen, who belongs to this fabric? I could have taken you. David's men were upset about it, but what I want to deal with is the idea that Saul had this disappointment. And when you read down to verse 20, you will find that Saul says, I know that you're going to be the king of Israel. I know that not only are you going to be the king of Israel, but God has given you the kingdom. So that had to be a major disappointment for Saul. And I was thinking that what if Saul just decided to bow to the will of God? What if Saul just decided to say, yes, David, you're the king. I'm going to be in another town and I'm going to hand this baton to you. I'm going to give it to you, David, because I want you to be an excellent king and I'll teach you everything I know about. What could have been the outcome if Saul had that heart attitude that, yes, I forfeited something, but David, God has chosen you. Let me help you get on your way. I think that the outcome of that matter could have changed had Saul just taken the right heart attitude. So friends, how do you handle a disappointment? How do you handle a setback? How do you handle when God has a purpose for your life that's in conflict with your desire? In the mix at 6 with Pastor Julian, I just want to suggest that you bow to the will of God, even if it's unpopular and even if it hurts right now. God is always after your best interests. And if you don't go voluntarily, that outcome might not turn out so well for you. So let us bow to the will of God, even when we suffer these disappointments. In the mix at 6 with Pastor Julian, God bless you. We love you in the Lord.